Greetings, gentlemen. Welcome back to the What is Enough, the Self-Worth series. And today we're going to be talking about the breakdown behind closed doors. Today may not be as long, but we'll see how it goes. So let's just kind of hop into it. Like we as men, we carry so much by ourselves and alone for a lot of different reasons that we've already touched on a number of them, but we carry things alone and the weight eventually does become too much, right? We all eventually have that breakdown. We all eventually have that moment. And maybe if it's not, sometimes some of us are go behind closed doors and we're crying. Sometimes the outbursts of anger or frustration or rage. Sometimes it's just silence. You know, you just want to be away from everybody. You don't say a word or anything like that. But there's some type of breakdown. The reason why is because we have this well of emotion that just rises up, right? It rises up and it's too much for us to push down in the moment. So what we end up doing is, again, like I said, we'll end up crying, right? Or we'll have an outburst of anger or frustration or rage, you know, or again, we'll be silent or by ourselves. And again, with already the mindset of we have to be alone, you know, we have to handle everything alone and we don't want to burden anybody else with our issues. We suffer in silence behind closed doors and nobody sees it. You know, your wife doesn't see it, your kids don't see it, your friends don't see it, nobody sees it. And what we do is we take that time, we take that opportunity to kind of patch ourselves back together. You know, and then as we patch ourselves back together, you know, clean our face, get ourselves back together, you know, and then we go out and present ourselves to the world. And I don't know about anybody else, but I know I can just share my own story, my own experience, right? There have been plenty of times where I've had breakdowns behind closed doors, and I'm not an explosive anger type person, but I am a type of person. I'll go behind closed doors, and if it becomes too much, I'll cry, you know, or I'll just isolate myself. Either one of those two things, right? And so when I do that, though, what do? I don't let anybody know. I don't talk about it, nothing like that, or I never used to, right? And so then I had to force it all the way back down. And I give you a perfect example. When I was moving to Las Vegas from West Palm Beach, and, you know, my brother and my sister came over, and this is the first time I ever really been away from family like that, right? Like, went to college, but I knew I was coming back. I went to North Carolina, but I knew I was coming back, right? So those weren't, you know, big changes, but to actually move and uproot my entire family, move across the country, you know, was something different, right? So then my brother and sister came over, they said their goodbyes, you know, and everything like that. And as after they left, I just broke down, right? I just broke down. So I was going to miss my siblings, you know? So I broke down and then I, you know, started crying. And then I went to the bathroom. No one else was around. I went to the bathroom. I washed my face and I just kind of like forced it back down. And there was a couple of times where I did that, where I forced it back down so much that it actually would give me like a migraine headache. Like that's how painful it was to force it back down. And so this is an issue, right? I should be able to express what I'm feeling, right? I should be able to have the freedom to share what I'm feeling with somebody. But at the time, I didn't feel or think I had that freedom or had that space to do so. And so this is something that's important for us to understand in this segment, right? That we all have our breaking point. Nobody can do it alone. We're not designed to do it alone, and we all have a breaking point. No matter how strong you are, no matter how stoic you are, no matter anything like that, no matter the skills you have, everybody has a breaking point because emotions aren't meant to be bottled up. They're not meant to be shoved down. They're not meant for that. They're meant to be expressed, understood, and we are supposed to respond accordingly based off whatever our emotion is. And sometimes you just got to get it out. Sometimes it's just sad, right? I was already moving. There was nothing that was going to happen otherwise, right? We'd already, you know, shipped all the stuff. We already did everything. So it wasn't something that, oh, I needed someone to fix. Sometimes you just need a place to just kind of let it out. To just kind of breathe, you know, and not have to struggle and do it alone. Let me also say this and encourage you with this, guys. You know, yes, we all have things that are going on, but your life is more important than whatever it is we got going on. We can all stand to take a few minutes of our time to be there for a brother. We could all stand to do that. And so it's so important for us to remember that and not believe the lie of, well, I don't want to be a burden on somebody else. You know, the reason why we have brotherhoods, the reason why we have people to call on is for just such an occasion. We don't have friends and family and things like that. It's nice to have relationships and things of that nature. But the Bible says a brother is born for adversity, right? To go through something together. Like, we're going to have hard times. Like, that is promised to us. We are going to have hard times. All of us. We all have something we're working on. We all have something we're struggling with, whatever the case may be. But there's some kind of built-in thing in people, in humans, right? I don't know if it's a God thing or what it is, but it's something that when we can be there for somebody else, it lightens our load. How is that possible? How is taking on someone else's burden, being a listening ear, listening with no judgment, with no ridicule, with no shame? How is doing that when we got so much going on? How does that relieve things off of us? I don't know, but it does. So if and you get anything from this video, I'm going to leave you guys with this. Don't suffer alone. Don't struggle alone. There's no need for you to be struggling alone. Find a brother, find a pastor, find your men's group, you're somebody. Find someone you can open up to, someone you can share something with, something you can feel safe to be vulnerable around. Like, find somebody. It doesn't have to be a man. If it's your wife, if you're like, no, my wife is down and she's always there and she's open and she loves me and she's there, then let it be your wife. If it's your father, if it's your mother, it's your sister, if it's your brother, like whoever it is. Like, the whole idea is that you don't hold it in, because holding it in is only going to do much, much, much more damage. And I don't even have time to go into the emotion, not just the emotional, mental damage, but the physical damage that can have on your body. The health issues that can arise out of stuffing emotions down. It can literally create diseases in your body that otherwise would not be there. It can exacerbate your pre-existing conditions to where maybe you could have came back from something, but now because of all that pent up emotion, now you got heart disease. Now your cancer is spreading. Now whatever other opportunity disease pops up, now that's in there too. So it's important for us to make sure that we are releasing this in some type of healthy way. Because a lot of times what we do is to pack it back down. We'll drink, we'll smoke, we'll engage in risky behaviors, we'll do things like that, and we shouldn't get on drugs, jump from bed to bed. Like, that's not healthy. That's not helping us. That's only destroying us. So it's really important to make sure you have a healthy outlet for those bottled up emotions. And yes, while you could do breathing and you could, to re-regulate yourself, and while you could, do journaling and things like that, and these things work, don't get me wrong, but it's so important to connect with another person. It's so important to connect with another person. Because as like the last episode that we were talking about, suffering alone, if you're already alone, staying alone is not going to help. Obviously, one of the best strategies in war is to divide and conquer. If I could separate my enemy, if I can get them by themselves, if I can surround them, then it's so much easier to beat them. But if my enemy is allied and locked up with a whole bunch of other of my enemies or other allies of theirs, then guess what? It's much, much, much more difficult for me to take that person out. So yes, while you could journal and you could do breathing and you should do things like that, I really implore you to find somebody, identify a safe person to talk to who's going to be there, listen, be non-judgmental, just be there with unconditional love, unconditional positive regard, and just be like, hey, bro, I got you. Hey, let me just hear you out. Let me just validate what your experience is. Because sometimes that's enough. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. Like I said, I'm not going to keep these ones too long. I just want you to get the point. I want you to apply it to your life. And I want you to also recognize that you are enough. There's nothing more you need to do to be enough. That's what this whole series is about. It's about building your self-worth and knowing that you're already enough. There's no job, you have to do, no mountain you have to climb. When you were born, you were already enough. So y'all stay tuned. We'll be back with more, and we'll talk about more different aspects of being enough and making sure that you're not trying to work for something that you already are. Y'all take care. Have a great, awesome, and blessed day, and I'll see you soon.